Hi everyone, it's Neil from Big Science. I've been asked to come along by It Do It Sunderland to do some science experiments with you today. So what I've got planned is I've got 5 super quick experiments that you can all do at home that have an Easter theme. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do experiments using eggs or chocolate eggs. So they're super quick. So the first experiment we're going to do today is we're going to do a little mini egg challenge. So for this one you're going to need just a little packet of mini eggs, but you only really need 1 mini egg. So if you have a packet of mini eggs, you can eat the rest of them because you only need 1 mini egg, and you also need just an empty plastic bottle like that. Now the mini egg challenge is this. You put the mini egg into the neck of the bottle like that, and the challenge is you have to blow the egg into the bottle. Now give it a nice big blow and see if you can blow the egg into the bottle. It sounds really easy, well, how very easy to blow an egg into a bottle, but hopefully you might see something happen that you think won't happen. So I'm going to blow it in 1, 2, 3. There we go, try again in 1, 2, 3. It jumps out the bottle. So it was really hard. Now I blew lots there, but I couldn't blow the egg into the bottle. Now I wasn't playing a trick, it was science. So I'm going to tell you quickly why I couldn't, or you couldn't, blow the egg into the bottle. If you look at the bottle looks empty, but it's not empty, it's still full of air. Now the air in here is at what's called a certain pressure. So the air is made up of stuff, lots of particles. These particles move around and bounce off the walls. It's all at a certain pressure. When you blow in to the bottle like that, when you try to blow the egg in, you blow more air in. So air out of your lungs, you blow out your mouth, and it goes into the bottle. So then what happens is the pressure builds because there's more air in. Now air moves from a high to a low pressure. So what happens is as you blow all the air in, it increases the pressure and it pushes the mini egg out. Now sometimes you can get the egg to go in if you blow just a little bit, but if you blow really hard, it'll always pop out. So it's a really nice one to do. You don't have to have mini eggs for that. If you don't have mini eggs at home, you can use anything small, even a crumpled up piece of paper will work brilliant with this one. So just to quickly show you the eggs in, you blow really hard, and it pops out. So it's a really nice little experiment to do at home. Now what I would say is we are going to use this bottle for an experiment in a little while. Once you've done that experiment, don't use it for this one again. So that's our little mini egg challenge. But now we're going to use some real eggs. Now, for the next 3 experiments, we're going to be using eggs. Now for one of them, we're going to be using hard-boiled eggs, and for the other 2, we're going to be using just raw eggs. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly show you a little trick how to make sure we know which one's hard-boiled and which one is raw. So in here, I have got some of each. So I've got some hard and I've got some raw eggs. So I'm going to get 2 eggs, this one and this one, anyone's. So hopefully they're different. So what we're going to do is, we're going to put that there. I've got 2 eggs in my hand. Now how can you tell, looks like 3 eggs there, sorry, doesn't it? Now, how can you tell which one is hard-boiled and which one is raw? Now, the best way to do it is by spinning them. So if I get this one and give it a spin, or this one and give it a spin, did something different happen? Yes, something different happened. This one spun really slow, this one spun really quick. Now, I'm just going to show this one. If I spin this one and then start with my finger, it stops spinning. If I spin this one and start with my finger, it starts spinning again. Like that, it starts spinning again. So I know that these are different. Now this one spins nice, and I stop it and it stops spinning. So this one's hard boiled. So this is solid. It's all solid all the way through. So it all acts as one. So when I spin it, it all acts as one and it stops spinning. Where this one, it spins. Sometimes it doesn't even spin very quickly, or it stops. If you put it and it stops again, it starts again like that. So that's because this one has got liquid inside it. So it's got liquid, it's got the egg white, and then it's got the yolk as well. So when you spin it, it spins. When you stop it, the liquid inside still has some energy, so it still moves it around. So that's why it keeps on spinning. Now, you need a soft boiled egg, so you need a raw egg for this one. Now also I'm just going to quickly talk about eggs. Lots of people think eggs are very weak. Eggs are actually really strong. Now, if you're feeling brave or if you're over a sink and you've got spare eggs, if you put your fingers on the top of the egg and the bottom of the egg and you just try and squash your fingers together, the egg doesn't break. Eggs are actually really strong. And actually, if you've got a big pack of eggs and you put a bit of a book or something, and you could probably even stand on top, that's how strong they are. But they're very weak at the sides. So when you crack an egg from the side. You might want a grown-up helper because you're going to have to crack this egg and just put it onto one of the plates. So if you're going to crack egg like that. Oh, I've cracked my yolk. That's why I always have a spare egg. You need the yolk to be intact for this one. So I'm just going to use this one. Is it hard boiled or is it soft boiled? It's soft boiled. So I'm just going to tell you what I need to make a crackle on. I haven't got anything to crack my egg on. So here we go. You need to make sure the yolk is intact. There you go, like that. Just ignore this one's ever happened. So I'm going to put mine there. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and split the egg. So it's almost like a little bit of magic. We're going to use a little bit of science to take the yolk out of the white. And we're going to use the same bottle. And we're going to use air pressure. So if you remember, I said that this bottle is full of air and it's at a certain pressure. Now if you squeeze the bottle like that, what you do is you're reducing the volume. So you're making the size of the inside smaller. So when you do that, you increase the pressure. So if I put my hand on there and squeeze it, the pressure increases and it will bounce back. So what happens here, if you squeeze, you are pushing air out. And when you leave go, the air is sucked back in. Now because the yolk and the white are different, if you squeeze the bottle and then put it over the top of the yolk and then leave go, the yolk is sucked up and the yolk is there. And then it doesn't come out because now the pressure is all the same. So if you move it over and squeeze it again, remember you are increasing the pressure because you're reducing the volume, the yolk pops out. And again, you just put it, keep moving it over. And one more time for good luck. I hope I'm not pushing me luck. You put it on the yolk, lift it up, put it over, and pop that in. So that's a lovely way of using air pressure and science to split an egg. So if you're doing any baking and you're using eggs, remember, you can always use an empty bottle and a little bit of science to split your egg white and your egg yolk. Now this is the bit where I've got to get it all across here without splitting it. Have I done it? Yes, I have. Perfect. There we go. Now if you remember I said that egg shells are pretty strong. I'm just going to use this. So for this one, I've got a nice big glass which is full to the top, full of water. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put this there on a plate or a tray because it's full to the very, very top with water. So it's right up to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get another egg, using lots of eggs today. And remember I said that eggs are very weak on the sides, but what we're going to do is I'm going to put the egg into here and hopefully it's not going to crack or break. And that's because of a little bit of science. So if we put it in here, I'm going to drop it through. Excellent. And I'm going to put the lid on. So now we've got a glass jar. Now be careful when you use a glass jar. You definitely need a grown up for this one. I've got a glass jar full of water. Now if I put this egg into an empty jar and I give it a shake round, just like when I hit the table, the egg would crack. However, because we've put it in water, now if we give it a shake, the egg doesn't crack. And even give it a big shake, you could see the egg kind of moves around in the water like that. And the egg doesn't crack. So it's an egg that the water is protecting the egg. And this is a really good example to show what happens in a man's tummy. So when a man's got a baby in their tummy, there is fluid that's inside the tummy that helps keep little babies safe. And this is the water is doing exactly the same thing to the egg, which actually shows what's happening inside the egg as well. So the egg white is keeping the yellow, the yolk, safe. So that's 3 down. One more egg experiment to go before we get into a bit of chocolate. So for this one, you need quite a lot of equipment. So we're going to make dragon eggs. Now dragon eggs will be something you'll have to come back to because it takes quite a long time. So you need 3 cups. I've got some plastic cups here, just with a little bit of water. I've got some forks in just to give it a little bit of a stir. And I'm going to use some food colouring. Now you need to use quite a lot of food colouring. So I'm going to put in a nice big squirt of green. Okay, I've got more on the fork than I did in the glass there. I'm going to go for blue, but any food colouring's fine. If you're using the liquid food colouring, again, that's fine as well. Just make sure it's a nice, strong colour. And then we've got some red. That was the food colouring, not me. So there we go. And then, what you do is you give it a nice stir. Give it a nice stir so the colour all goes a nice colour. So I've got some green, some blue, and some red. Take these out, don't need these anymore. Don't need that one, that's a bit messy there. Right, so we've got some food colouring now, we need our eggs. So we need hard boiled eggs for this one. I've lost my hard boiled egg, so I've got 1, 2, spin, that spins, then stop, excellent, and 1 more, spin, excellent, it stops. Now it's really important that you make sure these ones are hard boiled eggs, because what we're going to do in a second is we're going to give them a little bit of a crack. So it's really important that they're not raw, because it would get really messy. Because what we're going to do is you're just going to get your eggs and just give it a big bang on the table. Big bangs, so it's cracked all around. And I've got 3 different food colours. If you've got more or got less, it's fine. And all you do is you put your egg in there. I'm going to do it again. It cracks. That one goes in there. And then a different one. Nice big cracks. And then put it in the red. And then what you do is you leave these in a fridge or somewhere nice and cool just overnight. And then they're ready to look back in the next day. Now fortunately, I have one I prepared earlier. So I've got one here, so you can see, I think you can tell which one this colour was in. It was in the green one, the shell will go green. And then what you do is you just really carefully, you take all of the shell off the egg. Now just be careful not to take, there's a kind of little thing called a membrane between the shell and the egg. So just be careful not to take all that membrane off, because sometimes a bit of the food colour might come off. This is the world's slowest peeling of an egg, I apologise. Trying to go quickly, and I think I'm going slower. Excellent, here we go. So they're nearly there. And then what you get is a dragon egg. So a nice, colourful egg. But what you'll realise is now I've also got some I made earlier, so the red and the blue. So it's there, the red and the blue. Now the blue's a really good one to show you, or the red actually. So this is a really good to show you what the egg does, what the shell of the egg does. So just like I said, the water, the liquid keeps the baby safe, or in the egg, keeps the yolk safe. Now what happens here, if you quickly look closely, the whole egg white hasn't gone red. Only little lines have gone red, and then there's still white. Now that shows that what the shell of the egg has done, it's protected the egg white. So the only bits that the colour's got through has made nice straight lines, and that's where all the cracks were. So where there was a crack, where something was able to get past the shell, it's dyed the egg, but then all the egg white, that's being kept safe by the shell. So that's what the egg shell does, it's keeping in what's inside safe. Now, these are still edible, so you can just eat them as normal. It is just food colouring, so they are still edible, so they're not going to waste, but these, I think they're a little bit more exciting than just a normal egg. So I'm going to put these over here, and we're going to move on to our last Easter experiment. So this one hasn't even got an egg, but it has got chocolate, and lots of it. So what we're going to do, ice and sugar, and you definitely need some spoons. So this is Nutella. I'm going to use that. It doesn't have to be, it can be any chocolate spread. Any chocolate spread will work fine with this one. So what you do is you get chocolate spread and some icing sugar, and we're going to make kind of edible slime or chocolate putty. There's lots of arguments in my house whether it's slime or putty, but sometimes if different chocolate spreads will make it kind of a different, you'll get a different consistency when it comes out. So you get 2 nice big spoonfuls. 1, put them into a bowl, or every time they make a mess, and 2, that's all you need for that one, but you do need to keep the spoon, make a bit of a mess. I'm just going to give it a quick clean. There we go. And then you've noticed that it goes into a big lump in the bottom of the bowl. Now, chocolate spread is still a liquid, it's just kind of poured in to the containers. So, but it's very, very thick. Now, what you would class this as, when you talk about the thickness of a liquid, it's called the viscosity. So this is a high viscosity. But if you give it a little stir and give it a bit of energy, you kind of warm it up a little bit. So the viscosity it becomes a little bit thinner and a bit easier to work with. Now this one's also sometimes called chocolate poo in my house. So that's it there. Now, you wouldn't want to play with that. Well, you might. It'd be very tasty, but the grown-ups definitely wouldn't want you to play with that. So what we're going to do now is you get some icing sugar. And just a bit at a time, a nice teaspoon, put it in, and then keep on giving it a stir. And what you'll see happen is it'll kind of start to get a little bit drier, definitely. It'll start to hold together, but as you stir and stir and stir, it will definitely get stickier again. Now, what we want to do, we want to get to the point where it's not sticky. And when it's not sticky, that's when you can start to kind of play with it. So this is definitely going to need more. This is the bit where the grown-ups start to think, my goodness, there's a lot of sugar going in here. Because it is edible, but don't eat it all at once because there's a lot of sugar in there. So give it a nice stir and it starts to go to a big lump again. But again, if I touch it, it's still super, super sticky. Now, again, we want that stickiness to go, and this is where the science comes in now. The reason why the stickiness goes is icing sugar. No, icing sugar is caster sugar, but it's ground up into tiny, tiny, tiny pieces. And the bits are so, so small, and that's why it's sometimes hard to clean up. Because the bits are super, super small and they get everywhere. So they get everywhere, they even get in between the little bits that the chocolate spread's made of. So it gets in between the little bits. So remember the chocolate spread, well, there's chocolate, there's lots of other things in there, but there's lots of air in there as well. And when the icing sugar gets in, it gets in them little bits, pockets of air, and it stops it being sticky, and it starts to stick it together. Now it gets a bit excellent. It's at this stage now. So we can pour it out. I'm just going to get that in there. You might need to keep on putting more in because comes to the bit now where you get to get your hands in. So what I would say is just a little sprinkle more of icing sugar, and then you get your hands in and give it a nice stir. Now what I would say is as well, if you're doing this all together straight away, just remember to wash your hands after you've touched your egg and after you do this, because this one is edible. I promise. So what we do is we all squeeze it together, and you can now see that it's not sticky anymore. And that's good, because you can start to play with this and you can start to mould this into shapes and you can start to play with it. But also, it becomes stretchy. So when you get at the right level, you might need to get in your hands and massage it through, but it becomes stretchy and it becomes mouldy. Not mouldy, mouldable, where you can start to actually play with it. But again, it might keep on getting sticky again, but that's okay. You can just massage it through. As well, when you're kind of squeezing it together, you're putting lots of heat into it, so it can start to kind of melt the chocolate a little bit. But that's all right. The icing sugar will kind of make it nice and mouldable. Now, I think you might be able to see why some people in my house call it edible poo or chocolate poo. But it is really fun. It is stretchy, and there's lots and lots of lovely, lovely chocolate in there as well. So it will taste absolutely amazing. A nice big, and then what you can actually do is, when you've got your edible chocolate slime or chocolate putty, you could even try and make a big chocolate egg. So you can make your own chocolate egg using a little bit of chocolate spread, a little bit of ice with a lot of icing sugar, and a little bit of science to sort that out. And it is edible, I promise, but I'm not going to eat any just yet. Now, that was the last little science experiment with me, Neil, for Sing It Do It Sunderland. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you all had fun, because that's the main thing. We always want you to have fun and do science, and hopefully you eat at least some of the chocolate. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I will see you soon. So take care. Bye.